Somebody stand up and say, well, 70% of the all energy in the city of New York is consumed by buildings. I'm saying, yeah, but that's only half the story. Because if all those buildings were vacant, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be consuming all the electrons and tons of steam. It really is an energy policy that doesn't focus on the end user, the person who's got their foot on the pedal, will ultimately fail. And when we have to acknowledge that at the end of the day, and that's why we're focused on base load, because that base load is what's happening in your offices when no one's there. And ultimately identifying those things that are plugged in, and whether you call it phantom load or whatever you want to call it, shut that stuff off if you possibly can. And in order to do that, you need to give we need to give our customers and corporate America the tools that they can use to ultimately be able to see that on a daily basis. And there, we break it down very simply. What's available for the single-family user, and then take it to a multi-family situation. There's a great little device called the TED 5000. TED stands for the energy detective. You ultimately put this little clothespin, which is a little Wi-Fi radio, right where your meter comes into the house. That basically relays, wireless data. You download free software from Google, and you ultimately can now see your peak and your base load. So how do you take that to a multi-family situation? Because my little wireless router on the 17th floor of my apartment is not going to touch that meter that's in the basement. So what does the owner have to do? The owner has to ultimately put in ubiquitous Wi-Fi. And that Wi-Fi has to be secure. That to me, everybody's all about the cloud. Well, how do you access the cloud? Well, the iCloud is Wi-Fi. So from our standpoint, we're really focused on creating ubiquitous Wi-Fi throughout our entire residential portfolio. Expensive? Yes. Valuable? We think so. We think that those applications will ultimately follow. But it's really, another example is the Nest thermometer, the Nest thermostat, which is a wonderful product that was created by a former Apple employee. And what that does, and this is a very important piece, it's actually a machine that learns. And what we're trying to do within our commercial portfolio is to create, using all this data that we've collected, all this BMS data and other sources of data, and try to focus on what, the big data movement. Well, how do we drill down, use that data, identify those 8 or 10 key pieces of that data, and then teach that machine through software and middleware, ultimately, hey, today is exactly the same day as it was 2.5 years ago. What were your set points? What ultimately did you do that day? And ultimately, so that those machines can on their own figure out how to be intelligent and how to make decisions that will ultimately save energy. So, I don't know if that was on point, but